I'm Jewish, and I would say I have like a fairly traditional view of the world that way.
So you're religious? You believe in God?
I'm not like a literal. I'm not like a literalist on the Bible, but I'm not someone who says like I'm culturally Jewish. Like if you ask me, I would just say I'm Jewish.
Okay, I want people to pay attention. Pay attention to this. Pay attention, anybody out there. If you're new to this channel, welcome. If you've been here, thank you for being here. He said he's Jewish, and this man said, so you're religious. Okay, so I mean, I always point this out. Okay, I always point this out. Religion is of man. Okay, I consider myself Jewish, but I'm not religious. I'm not religious. Make sure to, if you cannot make a difference, if you do not know the difference between knowing the word and being religious, I will tell you it is time for you to make that difference. Religion is of man. The word is of YAHUAH. I'm gonna say that again. Religion is of man. Religion was never given to us by the Father. Religion was never given to us by the Father. Never, ever it was given. So all these religions are diabolical. So if you are religious, that means you are doing what the world is telling you to do. You may think that it is not what it is, but it is what it is. Now, if you know the word, if you're a believer, if you're a covenant keeper, now there's a big difference that people do not know. A covenant keeper is the person that keeps the covenant, the word, YAHUAH's covenant. Because if you keep that, you will never ever call yourself religious, because you don't even know what religion is. You don't care. I mean, you know what it is, but when I say you don't know what it is, you don't even know what it is because it doesn't mean nothing to you. It is of man. So just because this man say he's Jewish does not mean he's religious. Make difference. Know the difference between those two. If it ain't so, say it ain't so. That is one of the reasons a lot of people out here are so confused. They are so confused because they do not know the difference. Religion is diabolical. The covenant is of him, the Father, YAHUAH. When he spoke, his word became flesh. Yahushua HaMashiach. Yahushua, which means Yah saves. Let's continue. Comment below. Let's go.
But do you believe in God? Like, do you believe that there is a force larger than people that created the earth, that set down a specific order for living, that there's an absolute morality attached that comes from that God?
I think probably like most other people, I'm somewhat confused on this, but I believe there is something bigger going on than, can be explained by physics, yes.
So you think the earth and the people were created by something? It wasn't just like a spontaneous accident?
Would I say that? It does not feel like a spontaneous accident, yeah. I don't think I have the answer. I don't think I know like exactly what happened, but I think there is a mystery beyond.
Okay, I like how he's saying, sorry, I'm pausing. It's because when you're watching these things, if you do not know the truth, if you do not know the word, you will be very confused. You'll be very confused. This man, first off, this man says he's Jewish. The other one says, so you're religious. Like, come on, man. Now, he's asking this man, so do you believe that something actually made the earth and made humans? And this man took like 2 years to answer that question. Now, for somebody that say he's Jewish, that question should be answered quick. No reflex, like no thinking, because it's already there. Obviously, do you think, look at this design, look at all these words, look at all these things that you should not be thinking when somebody asks you that question.
My comprehension here going on.
Have you ever felt communication from that force, or from any force beyond people, beyond the material?
No, not really.
I ask because it seems like the technology that you're creating or shepherding into existence will have more power than people. on this current trajectory, I mean, that will happen. Who knows what will actually happen? But like the graph suggests it. And so that would give you, more power than any living person. So I'm just wondering how you see that.
I used to worry about something like that much more. I think what will happen, I used to worry a lot about the concentration of power in one or a handful of people or companies because of AI.
Yeah.
What it looks like to me now, and again, this may evolve again over time, is that it'll be a huge up-leveling of people where everybody will be a lot more powerful, or everybody embrace the technology be a lot more powerful. But that's actually okay. That scares me much less than a small number of people getting a ton more power. If the kind of like ability of each of us just goes up a lot because we're using this technology and we're able to be more productive and more creative or discover new science, and it's a pretty broadly distributed thing, like billions of people are using it, that I can wrap my head around. That feels okay.
So you don't think this will result in a radical concentration of power?
It looks like not, but again, the trajectory could shift again and we'd have to adapt. I used to be very worried about that, and I think the kind of conception a lot of us in the field had about how this might go could have led to a world like that. But what's happening now is tons of people use ChatGPT and other chatbots, and they're all more capable. They're all kind of doing more. They're all, able to achieve more, start new businesses, come up with new knowledge. And that feels pretty good.
So if it's nothing more than a machine and just the product of its inputs, then the two obvious questions, like what are the inputs? Like what's the moral framework that's been put into the technology? Like what is right or wrong according to ChatGPT?
Give me an answer to that one first.
I would.
Question.
Yeah.
So on that one, someone said something early on in ChatGPT when that really has stuck with me, which is one person at a lunch table said something like, we're trying to train this to be like a human, like we're trying to learn like a human does and read these books and whatever. And then another person said, no, we're really like training this to be like the collective of all of humanity. We're reading everything, we're trying to learn everything. We're trying to see all these perspectives. And if we do our job right, all of humanity, good, bad, very diverse set of perspectives, some things that we'll feel really good about, some things that we'll feel bad about, that's all in there. Like this is learning the kind of collective experience, knowledge, learnings of humanity. Now, the base model gets trained that way, but then we do have to align it to behave one way or another and say, I will answer this question, I won't answer this question. And we have this thing called the model spec where we try to say, here are the rules we'd like the model to follow. It may screw up, but you can at least tell if it's doing something you don't like, is that a bug or is that intended? And we have a debate process with the world to get input on that spec. We give people a lot of freedom and customization within that. There are, absolute bounds that we draw, but then there's a default of if you don't say anything, how should the model behave? What should it do? How should it answer moral questions? How should it refuse to do something? What should it do? And this is a really hard problem. That we have a lot of users now and they come from very different life perspectives and what they want. But on the whole, I have been pleasantly surprised with the model's ability to learn and apply a moral framework.
But what moral framework? I mean, the sum total of like world literature or philosophy is at war with itself. Like the Marquis de Sade is, like nothing in common with the Gospel of John. Right. So like, how do you decide which is superior?
That's why we wrote this like model spec of here's how we're going to handle these cases.
Right, but what criteria did you use to decide what the model is? Like who decided that? Who did you consult? Like why is the Gospel of John better than the Marquis de Sade?
We consulted like hundreds of moral philosophers, people who thought about like ethics of technology and systems. And at the end, we had to like make some decisions. The reason we try to write these down is because A, we won't get everything right. B, we need the input of the world. And we have found a lot of cases where there was an example of something that seemed to us like, a fairly clear decision of what to allow or not to allow, where users convinced us like, hey, by blocking this thing that you think is an easy decision to make, you are not allowing this other thing, which is important, and there's like a difficult trade-off there. In general, the a tension that, so a principle that I normally like is to treat our adult users like adults. Very strong guarantees on privacy, very strong guarantees on individual user freedom. And this is a tool we are building. You get to use it within very broad framework. Within a very broad framework. On the other hand, as this technology becomes more and more powerful, there are clear examples of where society has an interest that is in significant tension with user freedom. And we could start with an obvious one, like, should ChatGPT teach you how to make a bioweapon? Now, you might say, hey, I'm just really interested in biology, and I'm a biologist, and I want to, I'm not going to do anything bad with this. I just want to learn. And I could go read a bunch of books, but ChatGPT can teach me faster, and I want to learn how to, I want to learn about like novel virus synthesis or whatever. And maybe you do. Maybe you really don't want to like cause any harm. But I don't think it's in society's interest for ChatGPT to help people build bioweapons. And so that's a case.
Sure, that's an easy one though. There are a lot of tougher ones.
I did say start with an easy one.
Well, every decision is ultimately a moral decision, and we make them without even recognizing them as such. And this technology will be in effect making them for us.
Yeah.
And so,
well, I don't agree with it'll be making them for us, but it will have to.
It'll be influencing the decisions for sure. And because it'll be embedded in daily life. And so who made these decisions? Like who are the people who decided that one thing is better than another?
You mean like,
what are their names?
Which kind of decision?
The basic, the specs that you alluded to that create the framework that does attach a moral weight to worldviews and decisions, like, liberal democracy is better than Nazism or whatever. They seem obvious, and in my view are obvious, but are still moral decisions. So who made those calls?
As a matter of principle, I don't like dox our team, but we have a model behavior team, and the people who want to.
Well, it affects the world.
What I was going to say is the person I think you should hold accountable for those calls is me. Like, I'm a public face eventually. Like, I'm the one that can overrule one of those decisions or our board.
And just turned 40 this spring.
I won't make every decision.
It's pretty heavy. I mean, do you think and it's not an attack, but I wonder if you recognize sort of the importance.
How do you think we're doing on it?
I'm not sure. But I think these decisions will have, global consequences that we may not recognize at first. And so I just wonder, do you get into bed at night and think like the future of the world hangs on my judgment?
Look, I don't sleep that well at night. There's a lot of stuff that I feel a lot of weight on, but probably nothing more than the fact that every day hundreds of millions of people talk to our model. And I don't actually worry about us getting the big moral decisions wrong. Maybe we will get those wrong too. But what I lose much sleep over is the very small decisions we make about a way a model may behave slightly differently. But it's talking to hundreds of millions of people, so the net impact is big.
So, but I mean, all through history, like recorded history up until like 1945, people always deferred to what they conceived of as a higher power in order. Hammurabi did this. Every moral code is written with reference to a higher power. There's never been anybody who's like, well, that kind of seems better than that. Everybody appeals to a higher power, and you said that you don't really believe that there's a higher power communicating with you. So I'm wondering, like, where did you get your moral framework?
I mean, like everybody else, I think the environment I was brought up in probably is the biggest thing. Like my family, my community, my school, my religion, probably that.
Okay, let me pause it right there. Let me pause it, guys. So if okay, so many things I gotta say, I want to say, but I won't say much. Now, ChatGPT, technology, and all these things, that anything, for the sake of time, anything that distracts you, that takes you away from our Heavenly Father, from YAHUAH, anything, I mean literally anything that distracts you from Him is diabolical. See, Tucker just said before 1945, people were thinking of a higher power. Then after that, people are not thinking about higher power as much as they used to anymore. Why is that? Because technology came along, and shifted people's brains. The left went to the right and the right went to the to the left. I don't know. Something happened, right? Something happened. Now people do not refer to the word as much. People do not think of him, the Father, as much. People quickly go into ChatGPT. People quickly go into technology. People quickly go into this tech stuff, right? But before, it was a bit different. People used to talk to each other a bit more. People used to, again, go to him a bit more. Now it's not the same. So the goal of these things, and then hold on, let's go back. This man asked him, so where do you get that idea from if you don't believe there's a higher power talking to you? He took 2 weeks to answer that, but he answered it, and he said, environment, okay? Environment, you know, how he deals with people, this and that, that's what gives him the idea. But really, no. Like, most of these high-tech people, the ideas that they got, doesn't really come from our Heavenly Father. It comes from the devil. Because the devil's goal, agree or disagree, this is just a fact. You gotta open your eyes and see this for yourselves. The devil's goals are to distract everybody from the Father and take your focus and put in something else. So you get to focus on that. You get to focus on that. The more you get used to that, the more you rely on that. The more you want to spend time on that. The more, but you have to see it like a tool, right? I use ChatGPT, but I do not use it as if I depend on it. I do not depend on ChatGPT. ChatGPT is a tool. It's a very, very powerful tool. Now, if you do not know how to use it, you will get lost into it. All your focus, everything that you're gonna do, you're gonna go ChatGPT. Like, do you see that? You don't get to think anymore. ChatGPT does it for you. Now, if ChatGPT is not there, let's say you use ChatGPT for 10 years. ChatGPT is not there anymore. Boom, it's gone. And you're like, oh, you start to like panic. You start to panic. See, that's the goal. They get you to use this. They get you to get used to this things. Then they put it out. Boom. You're like, what am I gonna do? It's like a drug addict, right? What am I gonna do? I need drugs. I need drugs. I need crack. I need this. Oh, that's what is gonna happen. So you're gonna have to know how to use this, or else you're gonna get lost into it. You're gonna depend on it. You're gonna think it is God, quote unquote, but really it is not. These informations that people that teach these apps how to behave, what the things to say. And then also ChatGPT, you can shape it to do things how you want it to be done. For example, me, in my ChatGPT, I do not use the name God. I don't ever use the name Jesus, never. So when it talks to me, when I'm typing, studying things, it doesn't use those terms. It uses YAHUAH or YAHUSH. That's it. So you have to know how to deal with it. What do you guys think about this, man? Comment, like, subscribe. I'm out. On to the next. Shout out to Tucker, Carlson, and this guy that's with him for this video. Thank you for watching. This was MMR. Truth over entertainment. Let's get it.
Si tu fais aussi du sale, ça retournera chez soi. On the road going forward, I just wanna go forward. Got my head on my shoulders, got my 10 toes on the floor. The distractions I ignore, on them demons I ignore. If you good, welcome aboard. If you bad, you I ignore. Yeah, man, I was born in the ghetto. Now you know that I grew up with a struggle. They even told me I would end up like a zero, but I ended up with a gold medal. Tu fais du bien, ça revient chez toi. Tu fais du mal, ça revient chez toi. Tu fais du bien, ça revient chez toi. Tu fais du mal, ça revient chez toi.